Welcome back to the Fight Pit, ladies and gentlemen. You know what it is. We bringing you that good MMA content weekly. Thank you for joining us. You know how we do. It's your boy Drew, High Fight IQ, and today I got a very special guest. It is truly an honor to have one of the OG UFC homies in the house. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, PillowFight.co. Blissfully soft, shockingly supportive. Their commitment to premium foams and fibers provides superior comfort, all while being soft enough to cradle you to sleep. It's worth every penny. Invest in your rest. It's a 30-year life. You got to take sleep seriously. You got to take that recovery time seriously. PillowFight.co is obsessed with making a difference. Every purchase will allow Pillow Fight to donate pillows where they are needed most. So check out PillowFight.co to order and for more information. Thank you to Pillow Fight for always holding it down. Now, without further ado, it is an honor to have the Apache Kid. We have Mr. Cole Escovedo in the Fight Pit with us today. My man, it is so good to see you. I thank you so much for taking the time out to do this. We've been BSing a little bit too, but just let the people know how's everything going for you lately? How's 2024 treating you so far?
Good. I've never really been one of those people to how do I say this without stepping on people's like personal things? I've never been one to like let a calendar really dictate, with the exception of paychecks, really dictate what stage of my life I'm in. Like when people ask that same question, like, well, how's 2024 treating you? It's how's this time of life treating me is kind of how like I look at it. Because if I always try to make it by the year calendar, it's like, well, now it's like you start setting yourself in that motion to where like you have to feel a certain way because it's a certain time of year or something. I try not.
They all run together.
It's if you really think about it, every month has some kind of commercialized holiday. I'm not going to start down that rabbit hole of tinfoil oilery and all that. I'm just going to say, think about it for a sec. Every month does have some type of commercialized holiday. That said, this year's going good for me. I'm coming up on the 2-year mark for the new career I'm in. And I'm good. Like the job's rough, the job's tough, the job's fucking stressful. I can't emphasize that enough. There's always so much you can do about work-related stress, no matter what the profession. Really, just work is going to be stressful because there's time demands, there's performance expectations, there's cohabitating with your coworkers. There's all kinds of stuff like that goes along with being successful in your chosen career path. So it's good. When people ask me that question about where I'm at in life now, I usually tell them I feel that for the first time in a very, very long time, I'm where I should be in life. Like I'm doing something with my life. Like my last career, like obviously the fighting, I did that for like 10 years. That was cool for about the first like 5-6 years. And then it got to the point where I'm like, shit, this is what I do for a living. Like, I'm not really all that jazzed about that. Like, I was never really into fighting, I guess. Like, I was just like, I was good at it, and I thought it paid well. I mean, I know that back then, it seemed like it paid okay. It wasn't the best, but we didn't know better until the UFC came along and started offering bigger pay and stuff like that. So we didn't know any better. Looking back on it now, dude, I got paid dog shit. Dog shit. So
dollar went further back then, but still.
Bro, my first fight, I got $250. I didn't even know I was getting paid. Like, I didn't even know I was getting paid. Like, the promoter mentioned nothing of money. Back then, it was Scott Adams and Reed Harris. They were the ones who had my very, very first fight. Reed and Scott handled a lot of my fights as promoters. But that was my first fight, dude. I didn't even know I was getting paid. I thought I was just getting like this big ass trophy. And I was fine with that. I was fine. The fight was almost like last minute. I didn't even plan for the fight. I just kind of got signed up for it. It was awesome. Like that's another story in of itself, how I got my first fight. But yeah, so the fighting I did for a while. Didn't really like doing it after a long haul, because then I started thinking, oh, it's kind of like a job. Like I have to do this. I don't really have any other skills. I'm not really out of college. I didn't really do it in high school. So there's lots of things that I didn't really look at a big picture for when I was fighting. I thought, I'm going to be fighting. I'm going to make fucking bang. Probably go in, out, boom. No, didn't work that way. So I started to become like more mature, you know, like I just didn't like it. I did it because I was good at it. I made money, and that's how the bills got paid. So that's kind of where I did it at one point. Then I moved into another career field, was good at that, was actually really good to where I got asked to work at other casinos and stuff. I was in the card business, and
nice.
I would get asked to work at other casinos because I ran tournaments for the casino I worked at, and I just poured myself into it. Like I would dress up on the holidays. I mean, when I say dress up, it's not like fucking stove hat on. No, like if you knew there was a holiday tournament, I was going to be one of two things. Either I was going to be Abraham fucking Lincoln, or I was going to be George fucking Washington, and I was going to be just dressed up. Fucking St. Patrick's Day, I'm going to be wearing like a fucking leprechaun outfit. Halloween, Thanksgiving, I had like the giant turkey, the blow-up turkey that looks like you're riding a motherfucker. Yeah. So I really put myself into the job. Like I didn't treat it like just a job. I treated it like, this is my career. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be good at it. But in order to maintain my sanity, I have to make it fun. So I just poured myself and my personality into the job. Players loved it. It was better for the employees. It was just overall, it was more fun. Like we grew our tournament so big and so well, and I feel that I had at least an integral part in creating that foothold for that card room. So I did that for about 10 years too. Loved it, absolutely loved it, but it wasn't what I felt had purpose, longevity, things of that nature. I was doing stuff, but like, was I really doing anything? Like, in my mind, I really wasn't, you know, so I tried doing the cop thing when I was younger, and then I was too young, tried it, didn't work out, said fuck it, got into fighting. Now I was 40. I was 40 when
I'm on your tail, bro. I'm on your tail.
Bro, I was 40 when I tried to get like back into it, and it just worked. I had way more life experience, way more common sense. I could approach things with that life experience. I could maybe not snap judgment decisions. Like lots of different things that I feel are needed, especially for that line of work. Could I wish I was like 10 years younger to do it? Yeah, no, sure. I mean, I got in on like I'm starting out when a lot of guys are my age and they're like 20 years in. So they're like, they're like looking at like the last stretch, and I'm looking at like, I'm going to squeeze in as many as I can. I just want to stay healthy and be able to do the job as long as I can. I just, you know, it is what it is. So when people, like I said, man, I babble a lot. But like I said, when people ask that question, how's the year treating
type
you?
Of people, bro.
It's how life's treating me. You know, I'm stressed out. But it's part of the job. It's a good reason to be stressed. I'm getting things done. I can't count on both hands how many times I've been at the right place at the right time, that I know if I was doing something else with life, I wouldn't have been there. I wouldn't have been in that position. I wouldn't have been able to help that person. I wouldn't have been able to just do what I did. So I've never been a big firm believer of religion. And that's not me knocking anybody who is, and I don't want it to be, please don't take that as perceived as me saying, if you have a religion, you're wrong. I don't believe that at all. If anything, I think I'm probably the one that's wrong. I've never really been big on like, oh, I was there because somebody else wanted me to be. I'm just there because that's where the universe put me at that time. The universe will always lead you down a path. You have to still choose to walk down, you know, just like any other religion. Well, God opens a window or shuts a door. Great. Okay. Yeah. But you still have to go through it. No matter the religious perspective, you still have to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves and be willing and open-minded enough to see those opportunities when they present themselves. And a lot of people, I think, don't do that. They're either too stubborn or too set in their ways, which are pretty much the same thing. But they just refuse to see opportunities. They'll focus on just the negativity, like, oh, the doors, the door shut. Meanwhile, the wind is blowing their hair because the window opened up at the same time, but they're just like, it's messing my hair up. They will perceive an opportunity as an inconvenience, and they miss it entirely. So, there's that, and then you've also got the perspective of like, I'm pretty sure I was supposed to have died like probably 30 years ago somewhere, but I didn't. So now the universe is like, what the fuck do we do with this guy? That's why I've had such a roller coaster, I think, of a life. The universe is like, we don't know what the fuck to do with this guy.
What's he still doing here?
But yeah, it's good. So to answer your question, it's good. Year's going good.
I love it, dude. And please, like I said, we BS all the time, man. I am the fucking rambler around here, so it's nice to have somebody else to keep up with me.
Nice.
I'm gonna we'll throw it back to fighting a little bit too. I'm gonna just run through a couple things, couple notables. The inaugural WEC featherweight champion, so fucking dope.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Tachi Palace, bantamweight champion. IFC 145-pound champion, 26 fight career, 17-9 records, 6 KO wins, 10 submission wins. Nothing you haven't seen. Traveled, fought, seen the best names, people that you have faced, just to name a few: Renan Barão, Takeya Mizugaki, Alex Caceres, Bruce Leroy, who's still fucking doing it. Crazy. Yeah. Steve Seiler, Jens Pulver. I don't know if anybody's heard of him. Uriah Faber. Don't know. You may know who Uriah Faber is. And then also shout out to a couple fellow 209ers, Randy Spence and Michael Mayday McDonald. Always gotta show love to the home base. Dude, just had your UFC stint. You fought 3 times in 1 year. You've seen it all. You've done it all. You at the time that you were competing, all of the biggest names, you faced all of them. And especially back in the WEC days. I mean, man, I say it all the time. I miss the blue canvas so bad. Those were such great times. Great times. How, I always ask everybody this, how was it that you got into martial arts? Like, I know that you said that it was something that you were really good at, and just rolled with it. Was like mixed martial arts? Were you into martial arts prior? Was it something you kind of picked up as you went, or is it something that was ingrained in you, or did it just happen along the way?
Well, the ingrained part, I think every successful fighter, even not successful fighters, because just because you're good at something doesn't mean you're going to be better than the guys that are good at it in your chosen sport. So I would say pretty much every fighter that really takes it seriously probably is just born that way. You got to remember, at the end of the day, you're climbing into a cage with another man or woman. You're climbing into a cage with an opponent whose sole purpose and intent is to fuck you up as bad as they can, as hard or as fast as they can, for the enjoyment of thousands upon thousands of people screaming at the top of their lungs for violence.
In your underwear.
In your tarantrans. Yeah, no, exactly. But it's like, that's one of the things that when I look back on fighting too, people were like, hey dude, you're cool, you're fucking badass, you're this and you're that. It's super cool, don't get me wrong. If you ever do see me and that's the first thing that pops to your mind when you see me on the street, please by all means walk up and say hi. I love that. I love that people actually still remember that I actually did something like that back then, and they want to say, that's really cool. I'm down for that, don't get me wrong. But it kind of sucks in an extent that one of the main reasons people only remember who you are was for being violent. Does that make sense? Being only remembered for violence isn't really one of the best things. So it kind of bums me out in that aspect. But As far as getting into the fighting, again, like I said, I think some fighters are you're just born that way and you just find your way to it. It's just, that's all there is. You're either okay getting punched in the face by another person for a living, or you're not. And I think those that aren't, try it, succeed for a little while maybe, or don't, and just fail and just figure out and move on. You get your real guys that are just like your Max Holloways, your fucking Nate Diaz's, who else just fucking is willing to just fucking scrap, dude? Just fucking like your BJ's, just fucking scrap, dude. They're just born for it. There's Randy Couture. Randy Couture was just his fault was being born in the wrong fucking century. If you had taken Randy Couture and threw that motherfucker back in like gladiator days, oh my God, there'd be fucking sculptures of that guy. There'd be fucking sculptures where you go, hey, is that Randy Couture? That's fucking Randy Couture. I'm telling you, the guy was just born for it. Him and like guys like Chuck Liddell, they were just born. The universe said, that's what you're gonna be. You're gonna fuck people up for a living. So when I was little, wasn't really heavy into sports or anything like soccer, shit like that. Used to get beat up a lot, used to get teased. I used to have long hair because the Native American. So me and my brother used to have long hair. So we'd get teased all the time. Parents were like, you just, what do you face? No, they were like, look, we're going to defend yourself, but we're going to teach you how to be disciplined about it. We're going to teach you how to know right from wrong about it. We're going to teach you that, that's something that you learn that can hurt someone. You have to be very smart when you use it. Everything else that comes along with being, I think any real martial artist can attest that those are the main focus things of like Spider-Man. Great power comes great responsibility. When you learn how to fight and you actually know how to do it well, you have to be more restrained. You have to be more self-control, because you have to realize that at the end of the day, when you say go, and it's like, cool, it's on. All fucking bets are off. I can do what I want. Those kind of people can really fucking hurt you. So they have to be real restrained from doing that, you know? And I've learned that a couple times where, like, if you get into a bar fight or something and you really hurt someone, a judge is going to be like, you have to have more self-control. You can hurt somebody more. You have to keep that upstairs, not just like, oh, I can fuck you up, so I'm going to fuck you up, mister. I don't know how to do anything past 30 seconds. No, I'm going to hurt me. Yeah, I'm just going to keep you from hurting me. And then if you happen to catch an elbow in there somewhere, it's okay.
Shit happens.
As little as possible, though. So I took the martial arts when I was little, got into it mostly to defend myself. Started with karate, you know, like every fucking...
Of course. So
I started with karate, got all the way up to like black belt by the time I was like 16. So I was like really into it. Kept doing it. My brother not so much, but I kept on it. And then got to around 15, 16, and found out about jiu-jitsu through Matt Smith, which is still he's been like my main instructor, with the exception of Mike Pop, who handled me as a fighter. He's known me since I was like fucking knee-high to a duck. So he started doing jiu-jitsu because he was into judo, and he was hanging out pals with the Camarillo brothers, Daniel and David Camarillo. I don't know if you've ever heard of them, but when it comes to judo, they were there when like the Imanari brothers were heavy at Fresno State, or the Amora brothers. So
Dave Camarillo, side note, Dave Camarillo, he was the first jiu-jitsu seminar I ever went to in Modesto.
Yeah, bro, he's been way around since, dude. So Daniel, side note, little Easter egg gem. Ask them about the nights that we would stay up. We used to stay up all fucking night, dude, day before tournaments, playing Killer Instinct on the Nintendo 64. I think it was the 64. Or the Super Nintendo, one of the two. We used to stay up. And anytime there was a tournament in like Bakersfield or down south, we would stay the night at their parents' house, and fucking we would all cram into like one bedroom or like one living room, and we would stay up all fucking night playing Killer Instinct and just fucking hanging out. Just a room full of jiu-jitsu guys, which sounds fucking homosexual as shit, but it wasn't. It was just a bunch of fucking dudes, like surfers, just fucking. That's what I equate jiu-jitsu to. If you want to understand the jiu-jitsu community, you have to understand the surfing community, and vice versa. It's the same. We're just built the same. The way we approach life the flow, the just go with things and just let it happen kind of. Dude, surfers are the same fucking way. Okay, we're tying you up in your clothes. They're surfing the fucking curl. It's just the same thing, dude. It's just like when Flea and fucking what was that movie, Point Break? He was like, "Oh, you're gonna tell me how to jump and this and that." That would be a waste of time. We're just gonna fuck you up. It's simple. We're not gonna argue with you. We're just gonna fuck you up, and then you're gonna learn. So
early Keanu, everybody.
Yeah, so that would be a side note. All the nights of playing Killer Instinct, ask them if you ever come across Dan or Dave. Ask them, be like, "Hey, Escovedo was saying you guys fucking play Killer Instinct all night, huh?" They'd be like, "Fuck yeah, we did."
I'm gonna make a point to, for sure.
Dude, hey, and trust me, they will remember. It's not gonna be one of those things where they could look at you and go, "What, Killer Instinct?" They're gonna go, "Oh, fuck yeah, we did." So. We would do tournaments with no sleep. We'd be at jiu-jitsu tournaments just going, "Oh my God, I'm so fucking tired. Am I up? I'm up."
Worth it.
Okay, let's go.
Worth it.
So got into jiu-jitsu because of those guys, because they were friends with Matt, and they all started doing it. And then the instructor who he shared teaching duties with at the dojo we were at, I won't name who the other instructor was. The instructor knows who they are. I don't need to throw their name out there because they're still a practitioner. They're still teaching. I don't want to fuck with their schools and stuff. So anyway, they disagreed basically. Matt wanted us to start doing jiu-jitsu and then wanted us to start being able to compete in jiu-jitsu. And the other instructor at the time was like, "No, I don't want them doing that. I don't think they should be. I don't agree with any of that stuff." He felt that there was enough ground fighting technique integrated into the system that he taught, that he had learned, that he felt jiu-jitsu wasn't really, or at the very least competing in it wasn't really a necessity because we were a karate school. So they bumped heads kind of about that. Next thing you know, Matt's leaving, a bunch of us leave with him, and we opened what would later be known as Pacific Martial Arts. So, or PMA as what it's known today. So we started down that road. Now it's a heavy jiu-jitsu school. It's a heavy Muay Thai school. It's a heavy everything school. But it started to become a predominantly heavy jiu-jitsu school along with the karate classes and things of that nature. And I think that's kind of how we got down the road of getting into like the MMA stuff. Dan and Dave started showing an interest in it because of Hoff Gracie. I would go up there and I would train and do stuff at the Mountain View location when Hoff was still just outside of the Bay Area. And dude, that was some fucking training. Like that was and the training wouldn't end just with the training session because Dave at the time lived in like a hole in the wall inside this apartment that was above like an industrial carpet cleaning business. So you'd have to have a fucking whole day of jiu-jitsu training. You'd train in the morning, you'd go eat, you'd relax, you'd nap, you'd hydrate, you'd train again at night, and then you'd train again a little more at the end of the night, get maybe some sparring or just live stuff. And then on top of it, you had to go home and you had to climb up like 2 flights of fucking stairs, dude, just to get to your fucking bed. And it was just madness. Like I remember spending like a week or so at a time up there for fights and stuff, and just training. It was insane. It was insane. But again, I get sidetracked. So got into the martial arts, got into the jiu-jitsu, started getting heavier into the jiu-jitsu, and just kept doing the jiu-jitsu. Started competing regularly. Tons of medals, tons of trophies. I would go to tournaments by myself all the fucking time. I remember when I was like 16, I went with my folks and my brother to Las Vegas I've got the trophy somewhere in a closet. It was a big deed tournament. It was like the Vegas Open or something like that. And there was a day where it was just gi-less. And it was super cool. And I went by myself. Nobody else competed. Nobody else could go. Nobody else went. I just told Matt, I'm going to fucking go. It's in Vegas. I'm going to go. We made a trip out of it. I mean, there's not really much you can do when you're under 21 in Vegas anyway, so that's kind of fucking lame.
Right.
But we went out, competed, all submissions, all triangles, all both days, came back with a bunch of hardware. Matt was like, "Yeah, you should probably stick with this."
Yeah, right.
Started getting into that, started showing an interest in fighting and just learning other arts like Muay Thai, the boxing, the kickboxing, the wrestling. Just wanted to start learning all the other kind of things. And then did the whole academy thing, came back, and then started training like solely MMA style. Like I would just do jujitsu with striking, kickboxing with takedowns, like everything that was encompassing, well rounding it out. Like not just, I'm just going to do jujitsu. It was like, well, I'm going to do jujitsu today, but I'm going to do it with striking. I'm going to do some kickboxing, but with takedowns. I want to incorporate multiple arts at one time. So, because again, MMA wasn't really, it wasn't really a thing yet. There was no hold barred. There was cage fighting. There was NHB, and that was all there was back then. There was no mixed martial arts. There was no, like, UFC was barely a fucking thing. There was like a pay-per-view, like what, once every 2 or 3 months back then. Now it's like,
if we're lucky,
you'd have to gather around with all your friends. Everybody would pitch in $5. You'd make a whole fucking night out of it. Now it's like, there's a fucking pay-per-view, but every weekend, it's
These kids don't understand how good they got it.
They could still have the same level of market saturation, I think, if they cut even half of their shows out. Now, granted, they'd have to cut a shit ton out of the rosters, but you'd be able to give more fighters more fights more often. You'd still be just as marketable. It's not like the UFC really has competition, you know? Like, when's the last time you saw a Maserati commercial or a Lamborghini commercial? When's the last time you saw a Starbucks commercial? They don't have commercials because there's no real competitive threat. There's a Starbucks across the street from a Starbucks. You know, so there's no real competitiveness. So back then it didn't exist. Right. So started getting heavy into the mixed martial arts training because, again, I was young. I was like 18. I just turned 19, I think, in the academy because that's the first time I went through, and I was too young and didn't realize nobody was going to hire you if you were under 21. It was just like, hey, you're 18, you can go. I don't blame anybody for that. That's on me. I probably should have researched better. I was just 18 and I was like, I'm going to go do something with my life. And I thought being
gung-ho
was something to do. You know, you're young and dumb. But nobody told me, hey, no one's going to hire you until you're 21. I didn't research it. I didn't do what I should have done responsibly, or I would have held off. I would have just, waited a little bit. But I got into the MMA because while having graduated, I was applying with different departments. And one of the main questions that would always come up, what are you doing to stay in shape after the academy now that you've finished in the academy? There's like, you're working out like 3 days a week. It's a minimum of an hour workout per session. There's cardio, there's weights, there's explosive dynamic workouts, like all this kind of shit that's almost kind of fight related as far as like the explosiveness and the cardio and conditioning needed to do it. But after the academy, you're kind of left to your own devices. Like, are you still going to work out? Are you still going to go running? Because there's nobody there to make you now. Like it's a weird transition for a lot of people. We got a lot of fat cops. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of thick boys. Like when you look at them, you're like, you got to be the tank for the squad. Like that's, are you the battering ram? I don't understand. I see. Like, just go, Tommy. Just run, Tommy. Bear down like a goddamn goat. I don't know, dude. Don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong, dude. Like, I love, if you're willing to be in law enforcement and you're willing to take that risk, then like more power to you, brother. But it's like, at the end of the day, it's like I see so many OISs, officer involved shootings, or so many videos where the officer has to shoot a suspect. And don't get me wrong, majority, and I say majority with a strong emphasis, the majority of the time I look at those videos and I'm like, that was a justified shooting. It was either him or the cop. One of the two. Either that dude was leaving or the cop was going home. No questions about it. It was your life or his. But everything leading up to the point where that decision had to be made is sometimes lost on me because the cop is super out of shape. They're super overweight. You can tell just by looking at them, they have zero ground fighting, not even the bare minimum of what to do on the ground. They're just flopping around. And granted, that panic may have set in. Maybe they haven't really been in that many fights in their life. You got lots of cops that haven't really never been punched in the fucking face before. So it's like they're flailing because maybe they're that panicked. Maybe they do know what to do, and they've just never really been in a life or death fight, so they're kind of panicking. Trust me, it happens in every aspect of the job. So I'm not going to judge another cop on that. But if you had just a little ground fighting, a little bit of training, you could have probably avoided that scenario getting so out of hand that now it was to the point to where now it's either you or him. Again, if it's you or him, it's you. You go home. Be able to go home.
You got to do. Yeah.
But could you have avoided putting yourself in that position to make that decision where now somebody had to die? Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, if that dude's putting you in that position, that dude's making that decision to put you in that position. Granted, he could do it in the first 30 seconds to an in shape, trained, fully ready to go officer, but he still puts you in that position in the first 30 seconds of your interaction with him. It is what it is. That's his choice. Just like it's his choice to try to kill you, even though you're out of shape and untrained. He's still making that choice. So don't get me wrong, and please don't know anybody misconstrue what my thoughts are on this. I just feel that be in somewhat of a shape and be somewhat trained, and you'll find that a lot of those scenarios don't end that way. Plus, just be in shape, if not for yourself, like my RTO Fisher used to say, if not for you, for your fellow officer. Like, there's going to be a time where you may have to drag his unconscious ass out of a burning building, away from a car that's about to explode. You may have to drag him to cover because he took a round and can no longer fight and needs to be drugged to cover so that he can get rendered aid. Like, all those things are very real scenarios that we come across. So it's always a strong question. What are you doing after the academy? See, we always circle back around. I got you. Don't worry, Drew. I got you. Circle back.
Never worry, bro. You are always right there with me. I love it.
So it's what are you doing to stay in shape? So I started doing the MMA more heavily just because I wanted to stay in shape. I needed that excuse to stay in good shape because back then there were still PT tests for the agency that you applied with. Now it's you graduated the academy. Oh, so you passed their PT test. I think Clovis PD is probably one of the few departments I know now that still, hey, you graduated the academy, you want to come work for us, cool. You're going to go through some PT stuff. I won't say what it is. I won't go into details, but they still have at least some PT expectation out of you when you apply for them before they will bless you and say you're a Clovis police officer. They still expect you to be in shape. I'm not going to say how, but they're very diligent about that. It's one of the few departments I feel that still has that expectation of this is part of the job. If you can't do this, you can't do the job. And I fucking salute them for that. Don't get me wrong. It's not easy. But so I got into the MMA, was kind of not going anywhere with it. Hadn't had a fight yet. Hadn't signed up for a fight. I think I had tried to get a fight in, what was the name of it? It'll come to me. It was at Gold Country Casino. I want to say it was an IFC fight back when Paul Smith was still throwing them. And it was at, Gold Country Casino, way the fuck up north. Like, way the fuck. I don't even know where the fuck this place is, to be honest. It's way up there. This was like a 8-hour drive. I was told, drive up for weigh-ins. We got an opponent for you. We're going to get you a fight. And I was all, fuck yeah, dude. I was down. Like, we already had somebody else that was fighting on that card. I think they offered Dan Camarillo a fight that night on the card. Like, it was just fucking insane. Because you got to remember, Dan and Dave were already famous in, like, the martial arts community because of the judo. So people already knew who they were. And we show up, and I think they were offering, like, Dan a fight that night. They're like, hey, do you want to fight too? We'll find somebody out of the crowd. I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
I miss the good old days, bro.
Right?
People just backstage. Hey, any cornerman fucking got a mouthpiece? Yeah.
Yeah, or you fought tonight already. You're not hurt. Do you want to fight again? You know, it's just crazy shit, dude. So I show up, and I think either my opponent didn't show up or was hurt and they forgot, or the camp didn't tell the promoter, or I don't know. You know how promotion shit went back then. So I was out an opponent. Next thing I know, they're telling me that they found some fucking dude from another team who was in shape for another fight that was down to fight that night. Mind you, my fight was going to be at, like, I think 145 fucking pounds. Okay? This dude's name was, like, the Cowboy, and he was, like, all of, like, 230 fucking pounds, big as shit. And they were like, yeah, we found you an opponent. And I was like, all right. And they told me who it was and shit, and fucking, I think it was Dave was like, you're not taking that fight. Dave's like, no, stop, no. I was like, no, God. Dude, I'm good. He's like, no, stupid, you're not, no, you're gonna get killed, no. So that was supposed to be my first fight, fell through, didn't happen, bombed as shit. Drove back, bummed out. I think I got like a couple $100 for gas money for driving all the way up there. I was fucking.
There you go.
So then a couple weeks go by. I'm training. I think I'm teaching a night class or something. And in walks Reed Harris, right? And he's dropping off flyers for WEC2 Clash of the Titans at the Palace, at the Tachi Yoka Palace Casino back then. He's dropping off flyers. And I walk up to him like, hey, how can I help you? And he's got his handful of flyers. He's like, hey, I was wondering if somebody could give these to Matt for me. He's expecting me to drop these off tonight. I'm the promoter. Shook his hand. How you doing? And he's like, hey, is Cole around? I want to know if I can chat with Cole for a second. And I'm like, I'm Cole. And he goes, oh, okay, cool, perfect. Matt told me you'd be here tonight. He goes, hey, so how are you feeling? And I was like, I'm okay. How are you?
Thanks for asking.
He goes, no, I mean, like, how are you feeling? He's like, how's your camp coming? How do you feel? You feel in shape? You feel ready? I was all ready for what? And so he's like, did Matt not tell you? And I'm like, Matt didn't tell me shit. How about you tell me? And he goes, oh, well, Matt signed you up to a replacement opponent. Dude, I was like a week out or something from the fight. Like, it was like close. Like, it was like within like a week, 2 weeks. Like, it was close. And he's like, well, no, yeah, Matt signed you up to be a replacement fighter. So my first fight was against Terry Dull from Team Fresno. Big 6 foot something fucking badass kickboxer. Good guy. And him and Phil Perez and those guys, they ran Team Fresno back then. Like, it was like a legit MMA style team. It was like one of the first ones. And so I was a replacement opponent for Terry. I guess Terry's opponent went through like a fucking windshield of a car or something. There was some bizarre fucking story behind it where Reed was like, yeah, he went through like the fucking some windshield. We got to find a replacement for him. Hold on, I plugged my fucking phone. It's fucking. And hey, we got to find some replacement for him. And I'm like, yeah. I was like, I can do that. I can be your guy, I guess, is what Matt told him. He's like, I got a guy. And I was like, oh, okay. Nobody told me, right? So nobody tells me that they signed me up for this fight. So Reed's in there dropping off flyers, and he got, with me, Cole. I want to talk to him about the fight. And I was like, okay. So we talk, and I'm like, well, that's fucking news to me. But yeah, that's good to go. So apparently Matt had signed me up, was gonna tell me, forgot to tell me. Matt does that sometimes, and that's the fucking face he'll make. Matt will be like, bro. Oh, man, I gotta tell you. And I would just be like, yeah, that sounds like Matt. Because I remember,
I swear I was going to tell you.
Yeah, no, and he did. Dude, he was like, oh, I meant to tell you, bro. I fucking forgot that day. But dude, I can't tell you how many times he's made that face in between rounds. Like, I was getting the dog shit beat out of me by Christian Allen at UAF 3. Yeah, UAF 3 in Colorado. I think it was like one of the last couple fights they put on back when Ultimate Athlete magazine was a thing. Yeah. What was the fuck was that guy's name that ran it? It'll come to me. He was a good guy. It'll come to me. But I was getting the dog shit beat out of me by Christian Allen, badass fucking kickboxer out of Dwayne Ludwig's camp. And he's fucking rocking my shit because I couldn't handle the elevation. Like, I was just fucking gassed. It was my first time fighting at elevation. Me and Matt were like giggling like schoolgirls the night before because of how fucking just thin air high we were. I think we had like Pepsi and pizza for dinner the night before. Oh, geez. But we're in between rounds and I'm getting my ass kicked and Matt goes, bro, you gotta fuck him up. You gotta knock him out. And I'm just like, that's your fucking advice? What the fuck do you think I've been trying to do for the last 2 rounds? Oh, yeah. Oh, I didn't think about that. Hold on. Stay here. Let me go try that out. So I got lucky on that one. We ended up on the ground, and we were both going for – I've got the VHS still. VHS, that tells you how old I am. We were both going for fucking ankle locks, and all of a sudden I had this epiphany. I'm like, oh, wait, this is a fight. And I fucking socked him in the nose, and his fucking nose just exploded, and that was it. The fucking fight was over from there. It took another like 30, 45 seconds until the ref stopped it, but it was just once his nose exploded, it shut him down. It shut him down. I got lucky. His nose and shut him down. I was gonna gas out. I would have gassed out and probably lost that fight at some point. So, so that was my introduction to MMA. I don't know how I got on that tangent, but that was my introduction to MMA, was with Reed Harris dropping off flyers for the event, and just fucking signed me up. So I remember being backstage for that fight with my mom. Didn't have a corner man. Didn't even know people. Dude, nobody even fucking knew I was fighting. Like, there was people there from my gym that were there to watch the fights that saw me backstage and was like, come here, what are you doing? And I walk up and they'd be like, hey, what are you doing? Fucking beer in their hands and shit and fucking nachos in their mouth. What the fuck are you doing here? Hey, you're fighting? I'd be like, yeah, I'm fighting tonight. And they were like, holy shit. Hey, come here. Hey, did you guys do Cole's fighting tonight? And they'd be like, what the fuck? So it was a surprise for everybody. Yeah. So I'm backstage with my mom and we're just fucking chilling, dude. We're literally just chilling. I'm just like stretching, trying to warm up, just fucking doing my thing. And I'm looking over and fucking Terry, mind you, all of like 6 foot something, 155 fucking pounds, just fucking shredded, tattooed up and shit. Just fucking blah, blah, just like fucking Dom Poing these fucking Thai pads, Tom Poe from fucking Bloodsport. Just Tom Poing the shit out of these fucking Thai pads. And I'm like, interesting. And I look over at my mom's like, we can fucking leave anytime you want. You don't have to do this. And I was like, I see where you're going with that. I was like, no, fuck it. We're here. Like, everybody already knows that I'm fighting back here now. So just fuck it. Let's fuck it. You know, fuck it.
Right.
I've been beat up before. What's the worst that can happen? Little did I know. What the worst that can happen to you in an MMA fight was.
It gets a little bit worse.
Oh, yeah. It could, if future me had come and tapped myself on the shoulder and fucking said, Uriah Faber, Jens Pulver, Michael Mayday fucking McDonald. If he had just shown me a clip of a couple of those fights, I would have been like, I'm good. I'll go be a fucking NASA scientist or something. Fucking world needs bartenders, right? Like, I would have done something else. If I had just seen some of the phenomenal ass whoopings I was going to take in my tenure, I probably would have said, that one looks kind of cool, but no, I'm good.
Hey, you know what, brother? Hey, for what it's worth, we appreciate the ass whoopings. We appreciate the ass whoopings as much as the wins, bro. I say it all the time to, at a certain level, wins and losses don't mean shit to me. I don't look at records. I don't look at, all that matters is like, what you stood for, your style, how you approach the game, the shit that you take from it afterwards, how you apply it to the rest of your life, things like that. That's what's important to me at the end of the day. People look at all the casuals will look at records. Oh, he's Nick Diaz has fucking, 9 losses. And it's like, did you even fucking watch Nick Diaz? Who gives a shit?
Yeah. It's a different beast, dude. And that's I got into that same mentality a little bit for when I was doing the podcasting for the show with Richard on the Fighters Fights. I used to, like, when I was doing all the research for the MMA fights, I was doing the picks and stuff. I would see how easy it would be when you have all that data in front of you and you look at it at a glimpse. You're like, yeah, they've got 10 wins, but they've got like 6 losses. You look at it for a second, and be like, God damn, dude. But then you start going through. And you're like, how the fuck is this guy in the UFC? And you start going through and you're like, oh, okay, I see. So, it's a different beast now. And people look back on that and they're like, oh yeah, this amount of loss stuff. But I got a lot of friends that'll do that, especially when we get like new hires at the department. Because I've had guys before, they'll be like, oh yeah, that's our defense instructor. Fun. Yeah, and they'll go, yeah, that's our defensive tactics instructor. And they'll look at me and they go, oh, and I go, yeah, you trust me. And they'll go, no, you got to look up this guy. And I'm just like, just stop, dude, stop. And they're like, no, look at this. You'll be like, oh, dude, shit, yeah, fuck yeah, teach me a move. So it's fun. But the good news is I'm able to take that, like you said, like that life experience, like that 10 years of fighting and knowing how to fight, how the body works, how the body reacts, how a normal person will react when you do this to them. I can now teach my partners shit like that. I can teach them how to stay alive. I can teach them how to stay safe. I could teach them how to just lock you down and hold you on because backup's on the way. I don't have to beat you up. I just have to fucking stone cold lock you down and backup's on the way. It's coming, dude. My teammates are coming. Don't you worry about it. Teach people all the time. They're like, oh, you got to be big and buff and strong. Look at me. I'm fucking small still. For a cop, I'm fucking small. I'm small for a cop, and I'm small for a man. Let's just put it that way. But I don't have to be stronger than you. That's the beauty of it. I just have to be in good enough shape and have enough technique that I don't have to be stronger than you. I just have to outlast you. You're going to get tired struggling with me, trying to resist, trying to get away. You're going to struggle. I just have to have enough technique to hold you in place, get you down and hold you down in a safe manner that you can't get my firearm and you can't get away. That's it. I don't have to take you into custody. If I can, great. But the fact that we got to this point tells me that you're probably a little bit stronger than me. You're probably going to outmuscle me. I'm just going to hold you here. I'm going to hold side control. I'm just going to hold head and arm, lock your hips, boom, sprawl out on you, chest to chest, and boom. And I'm just going to hold you here. I'm going to use all the gas tank I have holding you here until backup gets here. And then we're going to tie your legs together. Then we're going to roll you over. Then we're going to take you into custody with A, without getting hurt, and B, without you getting hurt. But if we continue to tussle, we continue to fight, I try to stop you and take you into custody, dude, you can't do both. You can't stop a guy from fighting you and take him into custody at the same time. Either two things has to happen. Either he has to get tired, or you have to whip his ass so bad that he just stops fighting you. Ow, I can get you in the fight. That's, but that's here nor there. So it allows me a lot of the opportunities. So I would get into that same thing. Like I said, when I was doing the podcast, I'd look at records and things like that, but you got to look at who they fought, what they've done. Even the losses are still things that you take away. Like I remember when I fought Alex Caraceres in my last fight. He got me in a deep armbar, like fucking deep. Like my arm started going the other way, and like Herb Dean was like right there. And later after the fight, he's like, bro, I was close to stopping it, dude. I thought the second your arm goes, I was going to be in there. Like, I almost did it so your arm didn't snap because it was going. And Herb's like, why wouldn't you tap? Why don't you just tap? Like, I always wondered, it blows my mind why guys don't tap. And I looked at him and I fucking said, hey, dude, bones heal, records don't. Like that's the reality of a lot of fighters. It's like, you can choke me unconscious. Ooh, what's the worst that happens? I might pee myself. I might poop myself on national TV. It is what it is. But a broken
great
limb,
nap, though.
Yeah, you get a free nap. You wake up. You're in a good mood. Everybody's like, hey, you okay? You're like, I'm good. How are you? So, but like a broken arm, it's like, it's going to heal. Maybe he gives up like he did. Because at the end of the day, a lot of guys, and I've told my friends this, a lot of guys are not comfortable breaking your arm. They're just not wired that way. Right. Some guys are like, fuck that, snap that shit. It's coming home with me. I'm one of those guys. I'll snap your fucking arm. I'll choke you unconscious and keep choking you until the ref fucking peels me off. That's just the way I was conditioned. That's the way I was trained. That's just how Mike trained us. But some guys, like, they'll go for a submission and they'll be like, okay, I'm going to transition to something else. I don't want to see your arm break. So they don't have it in here. Some guys just don't. Other guys, some guys, they'll just fucking snap your arm and try to fucking drink the marrow from your bones. It's just, it's insane. So
Paul Hart,
some guys are just, again, different eras. Just some guys were born in the wrong era. Like if Nate and Nick Diaz were born back in the fucking Roman Empire, they'd have been fucking gods. They would have been fucking just soldiers. They would have had women thrown at them. They would have had food and wine thrown at them. Like they would have been gods. So
history books,
dude, you'd see Nate's fucking mug in a fucking history book or a sculpture, and you'd be like, gosh,
like
who was that
fucking etchings on a fucking stone wall.
Yeah, on a fucking stone wall of him just tearing a bear's fucking mouth open, like just insane. It'd be like that thing on fucking The Last of Us. That big monster thing that just fucking peels you open. So, but yeah.
Oh, the references. Hell yes.
Bro, it's been a life. I'm not going to lie.
It's been a fantastic one to watch, bro. I all the time, we hear people talk about the golden era and everything. I feel like, I've been watching it since I was born in 88, been watching it since I was a kid and everything. Became a quote unquote die hard in high school. So I feel like the era you were in, the era we came up in as we were growing up and everything too, that's, to me, that's the golden era. That was, watching it grow, watching it become what it was, like, it was our baby, man. It was our baby. It was watching something that we were on early become a full grown sport. Exactly. Invested. Yeah. We helped to, and that I say all the time too. I was never a fighter. I competed in martial arts, karate, taekwondo. I did a couple smokers back when they were still illegal. But I'm not a fighter, so I'm never like gonna, I try to always be respectful and not, say what fighters should or shouldn't be doing. And the same with law enforcement. I've never been in law enforcement. I'm from one of those families that was half law enforcement and military, the other half drug addicts and career criminals and shit. I had a lot. Yeah, I had on both sides. I had a lot of experience with law enforcement, and that's something that I always have always felt, excuse me, is very important. Like I said, I would never tell a law enforcement officer what they should or should not be doing, but that's something that I've always felt is important, is incorporating martial arts and mixed martial arts into training and stuff for their benefit and for everybody else's benefit too. And at the end of the day, it is one of, if not the most dangerous and stressful careers that you could choose. And I want to see everybody going home to their families happy at the end of the day. Shout out to Robert Toney, one of the, if not the best boxing coaches out here in Reno. He is a friend of mine. He does a program where he works with law enforcement and cadets to training them. Every time I see it, follow RT Boxing, by the way. Every time I see the posts and stuff too, it makes me so happy. Always packed, always, getting after it. He's an old school dude. He's from that generation of, hard nose, getting down to business. This is the shit you need to know, type of, and that's, that's what I'm about, man. I just want to see everybody reap the benefits of martial arts in their life, both in their career, in their personal life, in competition, whatever you're doing. I always feel like it can benefit you, no matter what. And that's a good, good to hear it from somebody too that is on the front lines doing it. Been on both sides of it as a martial artist and as a law enforcement officer. And thank you so much for what you do, man. It's like I said, the toughest fucking job that people could choose to do, and it takes a very unique and special individual to be able to do that. To circle back to the fighting, one of the things that I always ask people that I would like to know, I want to know who the toughest person that you fought was, if there is one, and is there a quote unquote fight that got away? Was there any time where you were maybe booked to fight someone and didn't? Is there anyone that got you hyped and you're like, I want to see that motherfucker?
There was never a time where I saw a guy and was like, I want to fight that guy. I was always just thinking of, I want to fight that guy because that's the guy they're paying me to fight. So I would have that mentality of, I want to fuck that guy up. But it was always of whoever my next opponent was. Does that make sense? Like, absolutely. I didn't see anybody in the division because I was just like, I'll fight whoever they put in front of me. I know it's cliche. You get so many fighters that say that, but I would just fight whoever they paid me to fight because that's what they were doing. They were paying me to fight someone. I didn't give a fuck who they were. I didn't care what I knew about them. I didn't watch film. Like, there's a lot of shit I didn't do back then. Like, I didn't study them. I just trained how I was going to fight, and it would either work or it wouldn't. And for a while it worked, and it just kept working. So I didn't really have anybody that I ever thought, I want to fucking fight that guy. I just thought, the only time I would ever look at a guy and go, I want to fight that guy, was because maybe he was a title holder. And even then, I didn't really go hunting. I just fought like at the Palace and for IFC and a couple other spots here and there. they would bring the belts to me. Like, hey, we want you to fight for this belt. Cool. Who am I fighting?
Nice.
Hey, we want you to fight for this one. Cool. Who am I fighting? You got to defend this one. Cool. Who am I fighting? Like, I didn't give a shit. You know, it was just whatever. There was just a cool belt that went with it. It was more of the prestige or the notoriety, I think, within the sport, where everybody knew you were the fucking man at that location. Like, pretty much the Palace got to the point to where if you fought at the Palace and either A, did well or had a belt, you moved on to the show. That was kind of like what it was like for a while. And so, because if you go back, you can see all kinds of guys that came through that place that they would fight there, and then next thing you know, they're on the show. And that's just the way it was. So I was super content fighting regularly there, and I didn't really have to go hunting for anyone. There was a fight that was scheduled to happen that never happened, and was Jeff Curran. Me and Jeff Curran were supposed to fight way back in the day for IFC. There was a show, I want to say Salt Lake City, Utah. I fought Randy Spence, and it was a belt fight against Randy Spence. I think I was like either third or co-main. I can't remember which. But Jeff Curran also fought on that card as well. And it wasn't Paul. It was Paul Smith. Yeah, Paul Smith ran the IFC back then. And he had already envisioned, hey, you guys are both going to fight on this card. Here's my plan. If you guys both win, I'm going to have you guys fight on like one of the next 2 cards or something. Didn't say where. Probably most likely would have been closer to Indiana or Illinois because it would have benefited Jeff. And I think Jeff had a little bit bigger of a following back then because he had already fought. He'd been fighting for a while already. So it was most likely going to be something like that. That was the one fight that I think was scheduled, not really scheduled, but had already been discussed and was like kind of, this is our plan for you guys within our organization. So we were both already kind of cool with it. Like, he sat ringside for my fight with Paul when I fought Randy that night, just because he was like, this is going to probably be the guy you're going to fight next for the belt with us. So you should probably watch. Right. And so it was cool. And we talked, and we've always been good buddies. Like, we've run into each other a couple times. We've talked, shot the shit, hung out. We haven't really ever gotten to train together. But that was the one fight, I think, as far as like top tier guys that ended up being even higher tier down the road. That would be one of the guys that I never got to fight that I was thinking that would have been a good fight. Because we were both jiu-jitsu guys. I had fought one of his teammates at my first fight for Ultimate Athlete. I had fought Bart Pelichewski. And Bart ended up going down the road too and ended up in the show. So I fought him, which was one of Jeff's teammates, and that was kind of one of the things that helped start that dialogue with him and Paul of, hey, you know, I'd like to fight that guy, you know, because he fought one of my teammates. You know, I'd like a chance, you know, I'd like a crack at it. Why not? So it was a fight that was in the works. It was something that was being discussed. It never happened. And then after that, I think there was discussions of me fighting like Henry Matamoros at one point. I can't remember where for the life of me, but I know at one point that was a fight that was talked about doing back then. But Jeff Curran was probably the biggest name back then that I didn't get to fight, that I thought because we were all in the same groups of weight divisions, popularity at the time, consistently fighting, all that stuff. Like, it was just a matter of time kind of thing. Just never happened. And I think that would have been a good fight for both us and the fans. And as far as the toughest fight, man, I've had my shit pushed in a couple times, so I don't know. I would say the worst knockout I think I've ever sustained would have been probably Michael McDonald. He probably knocked me out the most because I didn't even fucking know I was knocked out until like in between rounds 2 and 3. I found out he knocked my ass out good. And then I would say Jens Pulver knocked me out pretty good. But I would say the toughest fight and the expected toughest fight would have been Uriah Faber. Because back then, we knew what we were getting into fighting him. We knew where he was going at the time. We knew he was just going around just fucking collecting belts. Like, that was what he was doing at that time. He was just going, just like, your belt's mine, your belt's mine, your belt's mine, your belt's mine. Like, they were just farming him out to everyone. He was on a fucking tear. And that was kind of, I would say, our fight was probably the first real, like, at least for the little guys, was like supposed to be like the first real unification fight. Like, pretty much whoever won this one pretty much was top of the food chain as far as this weight class went right now, because I had, I think, 2 of the belts. I think I had like the only 2 belts that he didn't have at that time. And I was defending them consistently. So he was like, I want that belt. And so he came and he fucking wanted it. He came and he fucking took it. I always tell people the best part about that fight, it was a good fight. We fucked each other. But the first fucking punch he threw, dude, just that overhand fucking right, just clipped me. I was out. Like, he clipped me with that first fucking punch, and the next thing I know, he's standing over me, right? But I didn't know it was him. I thought it was the ref. So the ref is standing over me, and I'm thinking, I'm fucking knocked out already, dude, because it happened so fast. And the next thing I know, the ref like hauls back and fucking punched me, and I was like, what the fuck? And then my brain kind of came to. I was like, oh, fuck, that's Uriah still. I kind of woke back up. So I would say that was probably my toughest opponent, just because we trained in so many different things for that fight. I brought in guys like Steven Abbas. I brought in guys like Casey Olsen, David Espinoza, Kid Dynamite. Like, we brought in all those kind of guys, Yaru Washington. Like, we brought in all these wrestlers to kind of help me get prepared for it. And it didn't matter. So, you know, I don't think I was able to sprawl one time in that fight. I'll be honest, I was on my back probably 99% of that fight. Just because he had such the dominant wrestling, the dominant striking, the speed. He was just... Uriah Faber was on a fucking tear for a reason, you know?
He was that dude.
You know, this isn't me kissing his ass. Like, we're good buddies. Like, when we see each other, it's all fucking good times. We're buddies. But he was honestly, he was just better at everything back then. I think maybe he wanted it more. He was still young. He was still super fucking hungry. Like, he wanted to go places. He had a vision, and he was chasing that fucking vision. So unfortunately, I was just one of the obstacles in his way from achieving that vision, and we had to clash. So it is what it is. But that would probably be my toughest opponent, you know. And I've had my arm dislocated in Japan, so I would still say Faber probably the toughest one, dude. He was just from go. He was fucking on me, dude. Just didn't stop. Just didn't fucking stop, dude. And there was blood. I had to keep pulling blood out of my eyes. Like, I was bleeping like a fucking stuck pig on that one. That was a good ass whooping. That was a good.
Good times, dude. Good fucking times. Yeah, he was the California kid for a reason, man. If people don't know, you gotta go back and check that shit out too. And shout out to Tachi. Tachi, good times out there. I had not anymore. They've since moved out. We've all kind of branched out from California since those days. But I had family on my mom's side in Hanford and Lemoore at the time, and so there was so many local shows. I can't remember exactly which cards they were, but there were plenty of the Tachi ones that I was at too. We may have even brushed shoulders at times. And it was, man, that was such a cool spot. That was such a cool spot.
That was the spot, dude. That was like the spot, you know. And I think the one thing that fans will not regret, but realize that we missed out on was during COVID and everything, they promised us a UFC card at the Palace. Like, they promised us one. Like, they were like, Dana's like, we will do a show here. And they were like, because they were willing to do it. And they were going to be like the only place that was going to throw a UFC fight at the time, because nobody else wanted to touch it. Nobody's like, dude, we're not going to fucking put on a venue. We're going to put on a venue right now? No, thank you.
Yeah.
But the Palace was like, we have an outdoor venue setting. We can do minimal distancing. We can, fuck it, we'll just stream it. Like, just put the show on. We'll stream it from here. You know, and like the Palace was like down. They were down. UFC was like, fuck yeah, we're doing this. Because Dana wanted to get the ball rolling. Dana was like, fuck this. We're going to go. We're going to put on a show somewhere. And there was always something that we were promised that we never got. And it bums me out in my chest area. And it bums a lot of fans out, because that would have been It probably wouldn't have been the biggest UFC by far. It probably wouldn't have been one of the larger venues or anything, but it would have been the biggest thing MMA wise to happen to the Central Valley, let alone the Palace, since the Tap Out crew. You know what I mean? Like it would just been like huge. Like it would have been a small little fucking intimate show that would have got streamed, obviously, but it would have been fucking titties to be able to say that the UFC was at the Palace. But it never happened. It's never gonna happen. It's just the chance for it to happen has come and gone. It's just MMA's done out there, I think. I don't think we're ever gonna see MMA out there again, with the exception of like A1 Combat, or your occasional like one-off maybe. It's just, and unfortunately it's not as profitable as it used to be. You know, that was one of the whole reasons why the Palace got into doing MMA, because remember they had Christian Printup back in the day doing boxing shows. He was like the guy doing boxing shows back then, and he brought big ass fights back there that, unless you were a boxing fan, it'd be hard to explain why they were, you know, big name fights and stuff. It would be like having like a George St. Pierre, or having like a Quentin Rampage Jackson, or a fucking Chuck Liddell or Tito Ortiz fighting out there. Like it was that big of boxing stuff. And then they started getting into the MMA and this and that, and then it just grew. So it all started from them willing to be involved in that aspect of combat sports. Other than that, it would have never happened. And now it's just I just don't think the same people are there. It doesn't bring in the foot traffic I think that it used to, which was like, again, the whole reason they got into it is because it brought in foot traffic. It was a casino. Sure, we'll do sporting events, we'll do this, we'll do that, but how does that translate into feet through the door and people at the gaming table? Like, that's all we care about. Slot machine pullers and blackjack bettors. How do we get it? And so they thought, well, combat sports. They'll drink, they'll gamble, they'll eat, they'll drink, they'll gamble. It's just we just got to get them here. Because the Palace has always been a destination type casino, because it's not in or near a larger metropolitan area. So it's a destination. You have to have a reason to go there. You're going to watch this band play, or you're going to watch these fights. You know, you make a whole weekend out of it. So, and that's why their model has kind of changed. They have a bowling alley, they have a movie theater, they have all this other stuff now that will get your casual Wednesday night entertainment hungry consumer a place to go. Hey, I watch movies. Hey, I live close to the Palace. We'll just go watch a movie at the Palace. Hey, I like bowling. Hey, I like arcades. I like this. I like that. They've tried to incorporate that much of it. They've grown. They've seen the big picture. They know where things are going. They know what they had to do to change. So it's always been a great venue, and I think that's one of the big things that we're always going to miss, is never having had a UFC there, because it's just not gonna happen. With the occasional A1, like I said, it's just there's just no profit in it for them anymore. There's just no guaranteed income revenue, gaming revenue that night or anything. It's just because the economy is kind of so fucked up that people don't have that level of disposable income anymore that they used to. So they're going to spend their money coming to see a show, the fights, maybe buy some food, maybe buy some drink. Well, that's going to be about it. And plus, you've tried to make fights as family friendly as you possibly can now. So you've got a lot of younger family couples with kids. It's not date night. It's we're going to go enjoy the show and the fights, meet some fighters, take some photos, and maybe go play at the arcade and then go home. Mom and dad aren't going to sit down and gamble all night. They're not going to play blackjack and have drinks and shit. It's just not the way it is anymore. So they've seen no increased gaming revenue. So at that point, they're like, why do it? And the occasional one-off, you know, where they'll see a peak for a night, because you're going to get a bunch of fighters and everybody that are drunk and staying at that hotel. And they're like, yeah, let's go fucking play blackjack. You know, I remember most casinos that we fought at, they'd be like, yo, you can go cash your check at the cage if you want. Get the fuck out of here, cash my check at the cage. Yeah. I'll cash the check at my bank tomorrow, not all drunk and I'm running on adrenaline and high fives and shit, and going, yeah, fuck yeah, I'll spend all $500.
Especially after a win, too. After a win, you're feeling good, feeling lucky.
I'm gonna go get fucking drunk. I'm gonna get a BJ. I'm gonna pass the fuck out. That's what we're doing after the fights. We're done.
That's the way. That's the way, man. That is the way. That was
drink, fuck, fight. That was it. That was the beauty of it. It was simple.
The F's.
Yeah, exactly.
And there was a lot of people, you know, they may or may not know that MMA technically was illegal in California until up in like 2006 or so. I think it was like my senior year or so is when they finally did. So those
MMA,
Tachi, Black Oak,
mostly.
Even the Chicken Ranch at one point started doing
Chicken Ranch.
There was only a handful of spots we could go to get it. Table Mountains, yes. Oh man,
they did an IFC event. They did a couple IFC events.
Yeah.
So that was the first, dude. I was at an IFC event, and that was the first. I was just invited to come watch the fights. I wasn't part of it. They weren't schmoozing me. Paul Smith said, "Hey,
that's always how
check out one of my shows." And that was the first time I had ever met Philip Perez, and he was literally picking a dude up and trying to throw him out of the cage. And I was like, I bet I have a hard time finding guys to fight that guy. So that's eventually
God.
That fight ended up eventually manifesting. Was it that fight? It was. So if you ever go back and watch that fight with Philip Perez, they give me 2 belts and a trophy. Right? I think I still have the trophy. I've lost a lot of the stuff, donated them to charities and things like that over the years, and just I've lost a lot of it to like charities and giving away to family and friends and things like that. But the reason they gave me 2 belts that night, that a lot of people don't know, it was supposed to just be the belt and the trophy. That was it. So this is a story a lot of people don't know. So this is good. This will be good for your fans.
Love it.
I got the WEC inaugural featherweight belt that night, and I also won the IFC featherweight belt that night from Philip. So I won a belt from another organization that I wasn't even fighting for that night. And here's how that manifested. So Scott Adams, Reed Harris, Paul Smith, they were all buddies. They were competitive business-wise, but they all had the same vision and goal for MMA. We all want to see MMA get bigger. We all want to see these guys find careers. We all want to see these guys be successful. We all want to see the sport grow. They all had the same vision. Just like, you ever watch that show Fallout?
Oh, of course.
Okay, so the dude at the end, he's like, everybody wants to save the world. They all just disagree on how to do it. Same thing back then with MMA promoters. They all want to see the sport grow. They just all differed on how to go about it. I think my promotion's the better way to do it. I think my promotion's the better way to do it. We have the better fighters. We're going to grow better. It was all just, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I was at a fight in Connecticut where the Foxwoods Casino is, right? And I had flown out there for a WC event that I think Mike Swick was headlining. This is way back in the day. I think Mike Swick was the headliner for that card. And again, this was right before he went to the UFC. So we go out there. Side note, it's a drunk county after 8 o'clock at night, and you have to get fucked up in the casino. And I got fucked up and took Chuck Liddell and the tap out guys' seats at the fights and had to be asked to leave by Chuck and the tap out guys. This was before they knew me. So that's a side note. I got drunk and took the seats, and they were like, "We think you're in our seats." And I was like, "I think the fuck not." And I looked at who it was, and I go, "I think the fuck I am." So, but I ended up becoming really good friends with those guys. I miss Mask every fucking day. That guy was
R.I.P. Mask.
Yeah, he's amazing. They're all amazing human fucking beings, all of them. But Mask, Charles was he was the fucking dude. That guy would take money out of his pocket and give it to you if he thought you needed it.
Shout out Mask, Punk, and Straight.
Yep. And so anyway, so that's that side story for that. So we're at the fights. That fight ended up getting canceled. My fight ended up getting canceled. So, dude, so many fucked up things with this fight. My fight gets canceled the morning of because the dude's blood work came back bad. He had something wrong with his blood. He was sick, like not dying, like he didn't have AIDS or something, but there was something wrong with his blood. They're like, we can't let him fight. The athletic commission won't sign off on it. He was like sick, not dying sick, but like he was something wrong. He needed to seek medical attention. Fucking Russians. So anyway, they call me that morning and say, hey, the fight's off. Bear in mind, I just spent the night at weigh-ins, right? It wasn't a regular weigh-ins. It was my 21st birthday. So I didn't even get to enjoy my 21st birthday because I was cutting weight for a fight that got canceled the next day. Needless to say, I was fucking balls deep in omelets and shots by 9 a.m. that day at the fucking Wolf's Den bar. My coach Dave Camarillo was trying to find me. He's like, "Where are you, bro?" And I was like, "I'm downstairs getting fucked up." They didn't know the fight had been canceled yet. They were like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, fight's canceled, bro." They're like, "Of course the fight's canceled. You're fucked up." I was like, "No, the fight got canceled. This is why." And they were like, and I watched Richard Crunkleton get into a fight with a Brazilian guy that night at the after party. It was fucking titties. I don't know what security thought they were going to do, but you have half a bar of fighters. You're not stopping any fight that breaks out, bro. Let it play out. Just let it play out, dude. My coach ended up like carrying my drunk ass out of the bar when the bar fight broke out because the cops were coming. It was fucking chaos, dude. But yeah, I watched Richard Crunkleton take some dudes back. Mind you, Rich lost that night. But he took some dudes back and just choked the shit out of them on a bar floor. It was fucking hilarious. So anyway, we're at that fight, right? I'm in the limo. Me and Dave are in the limo. We're getting picked up from the airport. We're driving to the venue. And we were talking about IFC. Somehow IFC came up and something with that organization came up. And I was disgruntled. At that time, I think this was shortly after my Gold Country Casino fight had fallen through, or something. It was not long after I had a bad experience with the IFC on some level or another, and I can't honestly to this day, and I don't even think Paul could tell you straight up what the disgruntledness or disagreement was about. I, for the life of me, could not tell you. It was petty, is what it is from my end. That's the easiest way to say it. It was something petty that I experienced, and I was like, no, fuck that. I was young and stupid. I was like, no, fuck that bullshit, whatever, blah, 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 fucking unprofessional. I was being stupid. And in the limo ride, I was talking to Dave about this. Like, we were bummed out that like a fight had fallen through or something stupid, and I was talking all kinds of shit. I was like, yeah, fuck that organization, fuck Paul, this and that. Well, what I didn't know at the time was Paul's business partner was in the limo with us. And we just thought it was some random guy that got picked up at the airport with us. He was Paul's business partner there to like scout fighters or discuss business with Reed about bringing over like some cross promotion. There was a reason he was there. I didn't know that. Totally just fucking foot and mouth, just shooting myself in the foot, just being a total fucking dickbag, right? Well, I hear that Paul found out about this, and it got back to me that Paul had actually planned on trying to bring me in as like a main event fighter and wanted to promote me specifically. And part of like the reason Homeboy was there was like to talk to Reed Harris and Scott about using me on cross promotion. Like I was going to be one of the guys that they wanted to use for like cross promoting the organizations and stuff. And like, I didn't know that, right? I was just being a fucking dick. So I was young and stupid, bro. I was 21. I was young and fucking stupid, bro. Fucking stupid. The world was my oyster, right? I didn't give a fuck. Yeah. I was an MMA fighter. I was a badass. I was young, fucking fighting. I didn't give a shit. So I ran my mouth video. And I find out Paul found out about this through Matt or something. Through the grapevine, I found out that this has gotten to Paul's ear. And Paul was not having it. Paul's like, that fucking guy will never fight on another one of my cards. I'll make sure this guy never fucking does on this card. Because he had a lot of fucking clout in the MMA community back then. Like, a lot. Because he was one of the only guys outside of the WEC that was consistently putting on fights. I think, like, King of the Cage and Gladiator Challenge were, like, in their baby stages. Like, they were just barely starting to become consistent. So it was like the IFC and the WC were, like, the two main groups that people were fighting for, and it was just kind of grassroots for everyone else. So he had clout, dude. If he didn't want you to fight on a card, you weren't going to fight on that card. He could find out you were fighting on somebody else's card and just make a phone call like, hey, take that guy off your card. Okay, boom. Hey, dude, your guy's off the card. Like, it was that bad, and I didn't know this. I didn't give a fuck. I was stupid. I didn't give a fuck. Yeah. So it gets back to me, and Matt's like, you really pissed off Paul. You need to make this right. Like, if you don't make this right, like, you're probably done. Like, you're probably going to be done, because he'll talk to Reed and Scott, and Reed and Scott will be like, yeah, you're a dime a dozen. Fighters are dime a dozen back then. Like, we'll find another one. Now, granted, I happen to be a little unique I think, and arrogant, without sounding too egotistical and arrogant, I think I was a little unique back then. I think I kind of was a good blend of able to talk, able to interview, able to fight, able to do all of that stuff. I was sellable. I think I was a lot of those things where
Absolutely.
I think if I did it now, I'd be fucking rich. The money just wasn't there. The money wasn't there. That's all there was to it. The money wasn't there. It was about the sport and the fighting and just being a fucking badass than it was about the money. So I find out I've pretty much slit my own throat. Like, I found out, fuck, dude, my career's not even going anywhere yet, and I've already fucking killed myself. This is fucking dumb. How do I fix this? And so I ran into Paul Smith at an event that I don't know who the fuck ran it. I think it was Ultimate Athlete Magazine was sponsoring an event called King of the Mountain at Eagle Mountain Casino. I think it was a tournament. It was a one-night tournament where like Nick Diaz fought on it that night. He was still back with like Caesar at that time.
I remember
James Jackson, I think, fought on it, or Josh Jackson or something. He was a blonde kid. He fought on it. Jeremy Jackson. Like, there was a lot of like, they ain't quite somebody yet, but they ended up becoming somebody down the road, kind of like it was a one-night tournament with Nick fucking Diaz in it. I mean, come on.
Right.
Think about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Think about it. So I was there. We were helping set up for the event, like building the cage, all that stuff. Like, Matt had volunteered basically our gym to help Paul set up, and Paul was like, "Hey, I'll give your guys some tickets. They can come watch the show. I need a crew to help me set up." This was back when like there wasn't a lot of money to be made for the promoters, so there wasn't a lot of money to be paid for like guys. Like, a lot of the crew volunteered their time, or they donated their time, and the trade-off was they got to learn how to be cameramen. They got to learn how to work an event. They got to learn how to be a cage guy. They got to learn this stuff and watch a free show. Maybe have a beer or something. But it was more so like, come help me with my promotion. I'll pay you an experience. Which back then it mattered, because you could freelance yourself to go help set up other organizations and shit. So anyway, Matt offered us, because he had a good promotion or a good relationship with Paul. Like, they were buddies. Like, they were good buddies back then. So he was like, "Hey, yeah, I'll bring a bunch of my guys. We'll help you set up. It'll be quick. It'll be easy. You ain't got to pay them. Just fucking give them some passes to the show for the night." He's like, "Done. Passes are easy. I'll give out fucking passes like nothing. Passes don't cost me shit. Tickets cost me money. Passes don't cost me shit. Here's fucking 10. So we're going, and I knew that Paul was going to be there. Like, I knew Paul was going to be there that night. And I apologize to your fans. I have no idea how the fuck we got on this story, but it's a good story.
We're good.
Dude, and we're setting up, right? And I see Paul, and I'm like, "There's my chance." And I walk up to him, I'm like, "Hi, Paul, I'm Cole." And he straight up looks at me and goes, "Yeah, I know who you are." Doesn't offer to shake my hand back, nothing. I'm just like, "Hey, I'm Cole." And he just stared at me and was like, "Yeah, I know who you are." And I was like, "Hey, dude, I want to start off by saying I am sorry. I don't want to try to say I'm sorry. I don't want to say I wish I could apologize. I'm gonna straight up tell you I fucked up. I insulted you. I insulted your organization. I ran my mouth when I shouldn't have. There's no good time that I should ever have run my mouth like that. I should not be speaking ill about the promoters, because without you guys, we wouldn't have places to fight. We wouldn't have fans to fight for. It's literally promoters. Guys like Paul Smith were making it so that the rest of us could run. Does that make sense? Like, when you hear about guys like Jackie Robinson. Jackie Robinson walked so that, I don't follow baseball enough. I couldn't
Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds could fucking run. You know what I mean? Like, he took the lumps. He opened the door. He walked through first. He was the guy that got, all the slack. He's the guy that got all the hate. He had to build that bridge. He had to open that door. Like, so things like guys like Paul Smith walked so guys like fucking Dana White could run. Guys like Reed Harris struggled so guys like fucking Dana White could succeed. Like, that's what a lot of people don't realize. You know what I mean? Like, if it weren't for guys like Paul Smith and Reed Harris and Scott Adams, and I hate to say it, but even the guys that helped run King of the Cage, the Terry Treblecocks, even though those guys in my mind are fucking pieces of shit back then, you don't bang your fighters' fucking wives. So anyway, I don't know how to say
facts. No argument. No argument.
But if it weren't for guys like that, there wouldn't be the Dana Whites. There wouldn't have been the Fertittas. There wouldn't have been the Pride. The Red Pride probably would have still happened anyway. But it just, you know what I mean? They built it so the rest of us could live in the 20th floor. So I'm telling Paul this. I'm like, "Hey, guy, dude, I'm sorry. I ran my mouth. I'm young. I'm stupid. I didn't know what I was saying. I didn't understand. I didn't appreciate I didn't I didn't give you the level of respect that you clearly fucking command within this industry, within this universe. Like, you're one of the big dogs that I need to respect, and I didn't understand that. So I'm sorry. I would love the opportunity to fight on one of your cards. I hope that I'm not permanently going to be blackballed or blacklisted from your cards. I would hope you accept my apology, because it is a humble one and it is sincere. I apologize. I didn't kiss his ass, but I kissed his ass in the sense that it'd be like if you went to a Godfather and realized you were talking shit about the Godfather, and then realized you were talking shit and went to kiss his ass and pay the respect he was due, and then beg for your fucking life. You know what I mean? Because like I said, back then, Paul could be like, hey, don't put that guy in your card. And people would listen. You know what I mean? Like, they would listen. Like, if Paul told Reed Harris not to put me on the card, him, Scott, and Reed would all have to have a sit down and go, why shouldn't we put Cole on our card? Tell us a good reason why. But we're willing to listen because of who you are. Why shouldn't we put Cole on this card? You know what I mean? And there would have to be a good reason. But Paul wanting me not to be on that card would be enough for them to go, we're listening. What is he, bad promoter? Is he bad for promotion? Does he not perform? Does he pull out? Is he drama queen? Like, why shouldn't we put him on the card? And he would say, because he's disrespectful. He's unappreciated. He this and he that. And they would listen. So I'm telling Paul all this. And I'm basically explaining to him, I understand. I know better now. I'll never do that again to another promoter, let alone to you or to anybody without knowing better. And he said, I appreciate that. Thanks for having the balls to come and talk to me. And I appreciate that. And that was it. Conversation was done. I said, so we're good? He goes, we're good. He shook my hand, went back to helping finish setting up the ring, never talked anything about it. Nothing ever comes of it, right? Fast forward to, I'm going to fight Phil Perez for the WEC 145 belt inaugural. We're going to make a big show out of it because everybody's going to be there for you. They called it the Battle of Fresno because everybody was there for either me or everybody was there for either him. It was such a mixed crowd. They were going to make a big event around it. It was going to be a fucking blowout event. Paul comes to Reed and goes, hey, I want to know if you would like Cole to fight on that card for my IFC belt that Phil has, and we'll make it a cross promotion type thing. We'll make it a collaboration. We'll do this whole thing. We'll bring it out. It'll be big. And so because later down the road, I asked him, I go, hey, why did that happen? And he goes, because you had the balls to come to me and apologize and own up to what you had done like a man. Like, you knew you fucked up, and rather than just try to hide from it or forget about it or brush it aside and just hope I forgot about it, you came to me and you fucking manned up about it. And he goes, and I respected that. I respected that so much that I wanted you to continue fighting for me as one of my champions. So I made a decision that Phil was going to have to put his belt up too if he wanted to keep it, because I wanted one of you to be my champion. And I was like, fuck yeah, that was fucking awesome. So that's why I got 2 belts that night, because they had to bring his belt too. And it ended up being a double belt unification type thing between those two. So like, that was like one of the first things that happened. And then you got down the road, you got Faber that was going around taking everybody's fucking belt, which became like one of the big first, like, big stage, like, this is going to be for all the marbles. Whoever does this is like the badass at 145. But then you got the respect thing that happened back in the day where they just last minute were like, you know what, you're going to fight for both belts. It was going to be like a So lots of shit that happens backstage, dude. Like, dude, I've had so much shit happen backstage. I've had mouthpiece stolen. I've had, I've seen guys had to borrow fucking cups before. Like, I'm just like,
been there.
And you have those nightmares where you're like at a fight and you don't have your cup in your mouthpiece, and you're like, how the fuck did I forget the only 2 things I need? And you're like, hey, dude, can I borrow your cup? Like, can you imagine having to ask that? Hey, can I put my balls where you put your balls? And I'm going to get it all sweaty. Can I do that? I don't know you, dude, but can I do that?
And back then, it was still like the straight jock strap cups.
No. Here, okay. Oh, my God. Okay, I'm going to go on a fucking tangent about cups real quick. All right, hold on. Check it. I still, to this day, don't understand how guys can get kicked in the balls and still be like, oh, that hurts. Oh, motherfucker, get a steel tie cup, be a man, G-string that shit up, cinch it tight. Your boys will be fine. I've never understood the regular athletic plastic cup. Like, what's the point? I had a fight, same fight with Alex Caraceres. I get kicked square in the fucking sack. Square in the sack. Herb Dean comes in like, oh, I'm not gonna get the fuck out of the way. I stalk him in the fucking head kicker. Why? Because I had a steel fucking cup on. I see these guys all the time like, oh, I need my 5 minutes. For what? For what? Stop. You got kicked in the nuts. Wear a good cup. Man the fuck on. Move forward. But yeah. So I've had mouthpieces stolen. I've had gear stolen. I've come back and had shit that wasn't even mine in my bag. Like promoters or shirt company guy would come in and like stick shit in my bag. Well,
damn.
I've had it all. I've had it all, dude. Weird shit happens backstage, dude. You see some weird shit backstage, bro.
That is.
I've seen people fucking backstage. You see some weird shit backstage, bro. Shit that you're just like, yeah, that makes sense. It's just, you don't get surprised at some point.
Right. You get conditioned to it. You're like, yep.
Yeah, that seems about. I see that happening. That sounds about right. You're like, yeah, that sounds about right.
That anywhere else in life, you see a dude taking his cup out and give it to another dude, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? But hey, backstage, you're like, I know exactly what's going on.
You might see that in a wrestling room. That's about the. Oh, you're not even going to see that at a BJJ school. No. I'm so worried about getting ringworm or staph from the match. I'm not sharing my cup with you. That's not happening. My boys are my boys. They're not going to shake hands with your boys. It's just not. No, it's not. No.
Living and learning, man. I love it. It.
It's different back there, man. Different world.
Thank you, man, so much. This is everything that I fucking love about doing this every week. I really appreciate it. The last thing I'm going to go through, I am 1,000,000%, the Fight Pit doors are always open for you. Hopefully we're going to have you back as many times as possible too. I want to, we're going to hit the either or real quick, but I do want to shout out your, the book Through the Cage Door. My journey from paralysis to the UFC. If you guys, it was done with you and Zach Robinson. Yes. Amazing. Obviously, I'm a fucking nerd, but anybody who doesn't, anybody who isn't as deep into that stuff, 100% recommend it. Check it out. You can find it on Amazon if you look it up. Through the Cage Door. My journey from paralysis to the UFC. It's a fantastic, and we're going to go as super deep in depth on that as we can next time too. But you guys make sure you check that out. Go order it. It's worth it. It's worth it. It's a good one.
It's a good read, man. It's a good story. My whole, and mind you, I haven't seen a penny from that. I have never seen a penny from any of the sales. I think part of the thing was it was never really that popular, and B, a lot of the profit from it I think went to pay back Zach for his investment and his time.
Okay.
He ghost wrote it for me. Like we would sit down and I would tell him stories and all this stuff, and he would type it up and he would turn it into chapters and make it readable. You know what I mean? Like you have to make it palatable to the reader. And he would send it back to me. We'd proofread it, correct, inaccuracies or things like, maybe let's not put that in there, or let's well, it happened this way. Let's maybe I explained that wrong. So, and we tweaked on it for a good year. Like we tweaked on it for a while and put it out. And it's a lot of family. It's a lot of personal stuff, a lot of family stuff, a lot of behind the scenes for a lot of stuff people don't know about. And it's a good read. But the whole goal behind it was to, I would just hope that somebody would read the story about being paralyzed and going from here on the MMA standpoint community. Again, I am trying to be as humble as possible. I understand I'm just a drop in the bucket of the overall universe of what MMA became. But at some point, I'd like to have thought I mattered. And to go from that level to paralyzed and to just see not the looks from just people, because you're going to get those sympathetic looks from people every day when you see somebody in a wheelchair who's disabled. It's human nature. Like you feel bad for them. You're like, fuck, I have something you don't, and you're never going to get that back. And if you feel a little bad about that, it's good. It's because you're a human fucking being. It's because you're getting to enjoy something that they're no longer able to enjoy, like sight or walking or hearing or fucking breathing. So a lot of things that we take advantage of. But I was without those things for such a long time. And then only then, dude, after a 10-year career, only then did I make it to the UFC, was at the tail end after being paralyzed. So I'm hoping that message to somebody else struggling with obstacles in life or hardships or whatever they think they can't overcome. And I know it sounds like Saturday school, after school special bullshit and cliche, but it's true. You really can do something if you really try hard enough, if you put enough effort into it, if you want to succeed, you want to be successful and stuff, you have to commit to it. And then the rest is just kind of, it's going to be what it is. It either is going to happen or it's not. I was lucky. I pushed hard and was able to get back to it. And that's what I made it to the UFC. So I felt that was a good acronym for the book, would be, from paralysis to UFC. Even though I wasn't that successful in the UFC, that's where I ended out my career. I still made it. There's a lot of guys back then there was a lot of guys that didn't make it. There were a lot of guys that didn't make it. Now it's a lot. I think it's a lot easier to get into the UFC now. I think if you make it into the UFC, if you have enough followers now, I think is unfortunately one of the aspects. Which it's an entertainment business. Don't get me wrong, it's entertainment. But it's gone a way different direction than it used to be. Who was the baddest of the bad? And that was it.
Yeah.
So it's a good read. If you, like I said, like you were saying, if you do get a chance, pick it up. I'm surprised you can even find it on Amazon still. I didn't even know it was still on there, so that's cool.
It's there. It's there, baby.
If you buy a copy, if any of your fans buy a copy and you guys would like to sign a little note or something in it, mail it to me. We'll sort it out. If anybody hits up Drew and says, "Hey, I want to get Cole's address, so I'll mail my book, have him sign it, and mail it back to me," I'm down for that too. I'm all about that kind of stuff. So I still get stuff. I've got UFC Tops cards from a dude in Germany that mailed them to me, asking if I can sign them for him and mail them back. I'm such a piece of shit, dude. I still haven't done it. I still got to sign it, and I feel like such a piece of shit because I just get so entangled doing so much stuff that I'm like, it gets lost under stuff, and I'll pick them up like, oh fuck, that's right. So I'll probably do that today. I'll fucking probably sign those and go drop those off in the fucking. Yeah. I'm so sorry I didn't steal your cards. I signed them. I sent them back. So it's good, but yeah, no, I'd be down to be on again. I think it's fun, dude. It's getting to share that message. So like I said, the book was started out in hopes that message would reach somebody, even if it just gives one person the motivation to know that, okay, fuck, if I just try a little harder every day and I don't quit when I want to, I'll get there. And if it helps them get to the whatever they're going to, then fuck it. It was worth it. It was worth the struggle I went through. So.
And that is as important a message as any, especially in this day and age, man. That's one of the beautiful things. That's one of the, I always talk about how even though it's violent and, people getting hurt, shit's getting broken, people getting tapped out, it's ugly on the outside looking in. It's at the core of it, at the heart of it. It's beautiful. It's fucking beautiful. The things that you can take from it, and exactly. So yeah, make sure you guys check that out. Hit that. We're gonna hit these either ors. You know the drill. It's just some stupid shit I do just to break up the monotony. I'm gonna throw some at you, rapid fire. Let me know either or. You can give an explanation if you want, but you don't owe an explanation to anybody. So feel free to pass if you want. I think that you're gonna nail a lot of these though.
Okay.
Cats or dogs?
Cats.
I knew it. Everybody that I've asked that to so far says cats.
But don't get me wrong. Okay, I love dogs. I love animals. I live in a small ass apartment. I have no backyard. I'm a big believer that if I'm gonna have a dog, I have to have a backyard for him to run around in. Keeping a dog of any size inside all the time is, dog lovers, you're going to flame me on this one, but I think it's cruel. I think if you don't have a backyard, even a little dog, if you don't have a backyard, if they can't run around in the sun, they can't fucking get the zoomies, they can't roll around in the grass, like that's being a dog. Like, let me go outside, let me roll in the grass. So I've never had a house, so until I can afford a house, which in this fucking day and age, good fucking luck in California.
Right.
But if I'm ever blessed with a house, then I'll get a dog. I'll get 2 dogs. I'll get 3 dogs. Fuck, I'll get all the dogs. As long as I have a backyard big enough to let them enjoy and run and be free and stuff. So right now, the cats. And plus, I'm a cat guy. So I have cats, plural. I have cats. If you take any amount of time and look at my Instagram, you'll see I'm a cat guy. I love my cats. There's a cat sitting down right there as he sleeping just on the side of the table. So it is what it is. So, but cats instantly. But don't get me wrong, I do like dogs, but team cat. You know,
Nothing wrong with that at all. At all. Cats are the shit. Summer or winter?
Summer. It's easier to cool off than it is to warm up for me for some reason. I don't know why. Some people are like, "Oh, I like winter. It's easier to get warm." Nah, it's summer.
Bro.
Dude. Plus bikinis. You don't see bikinis in the winter. You don't.
I have this argument all the time, bro. We're from the fucking armpit of the country. It doesn't get any worse than the heat out there, bro. The backyard barbecue or barbecue at the lake?
Oh, that's a good one. Barbecue at the lake is always good, but it's a hassle. But backyard barbecue, that depends who's backyard barbecuing. Is it Joe Blow who doesn't know what he's doing? Or is it fucking Tio on the grill? Is it Uncle Frank on the grill? Who's barbecuing? You know, like is it Dad? Is he drunk? Is he barbecue sober yet?
Yes.
Like, lots of variables there, dude. So
and going to the lake too. You wanna drink, but then you can't drive home, so you gotta camp.
Drive home. I would have to say barbecue in the backyard would probably be, because it's easier, it's more sociable, it's a family atmosphere, it's friends, they can come over and hang out, it's food, it's backyard games, it's a good, I would say backyard barbecue probably over barbecue at the lake. The lake's got too many cons, I guess I would say. People die at the lake.
That's a good point.
Nobody dies at backyard barbecue except in Compton. So it's
right. Oh man, beautiful. Kickboxing or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
BJJ for sure. The art of making somebody submit to you and not having to hurt them is a beautiful thing. Plus, that's a cop. Like, you're gonna see me use BJJ way more than kickboxing. Like, I don't want to punch you in the head, dude, because I'm gonna break my hands or I'm gonna cut you open. When I can just bring you to the ground, submit you with the least force necessary, and still take you into custody and be done with it. Versus us having to bang out with each other. The longer the fight goes, the more likelihood someone's going to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt, but there's a very good chance I could get hurt. I don't want you to get hurt. Even though you're the bad guy, I don't want you to get hurt. You're the bad guy, but that doesn't mean you should be hurt. That's not my job. My job is to deter that a crime is being committed and take the accused into custody to stand trial before their peers. That's it. I'm a fact gatherer, evidence collector. I'm not there to say, "Oh, you beat your wife up, I'm gonna fuck you up." No, dude, even if you did beat your wife up, you're a piece of shit. Who cares? I'm gonna take you to fucking jail. I'm gonna leave you in county. I'm gonna let the judge and the DA do what they gotta do to you. You'll probably be back that night. This is the way California is. But it's not my job to pass judgment. So having to take you into custody and you wanna fight me, if I have a method of taking you into custody without hurting you or hurting myself or hurting my hands or hurting my partner, I'm going to do it. Because at the end of the day, there's no point in me fucking you up to get you into custody. Nobody wins there. You get hurt. Right. I get hurt. You sue me. I get an IA. I get a write-up, whatever. I get in trouble. Because you wanted to fight? Nah, dude. I could take you into custody without having to bang it out with you. It's BJJ. Plus, I got like 12 wins, 12 submission wins out of 17 by the same move. I mean, come on.
There you go. That's the answer, baby. That's the answer. I think I know this one. Sports cars or muscle cars?
Oh, muscle cars.
Thank you.
Muscle cars all day. I myself had a 1965 and a 1964.5 Ford Mustang. There's nothing more pretty than a muscle car. I don't care. Lamborghinis, they're cool. Ferraris, whatever. Chargers, Scat Packs. Yeah, they go fast, but nothing's going to beat the way a Super Sport Nova looks, or an Impala, or a Chevelle, or a fucking Fastback. They're just not made that way anymore. They're just not.
Right. Can't beat it. Shower in the morning or shower at night?
Well, it depends on what shift schedule I'm on. If I'm on a day shift schedule, I'm always going to shower the night before because I hate getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning as it is. I ain't getting up any earlier so I can be to work by 7 just to take a fucking shower. So I'll take my shower at the end of the night when I get home. If I'm on a night shift or a swing, I'm on grays. I probably go home and fucking chill for a second, crash the fuck out, take the shower in the morning, get up a little early, take the shower in the morning. Because again, I can get up and be ready for work. I'm just not a morning person for some reason. If I gotta wake up like before 8 o'clock in the morning, if I'm not getting paid to, dude, I hate day shifts, bro. I have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to be to work on time. I don't know. But if I have to be to work at like 3, dude, I get up at like 11. 11:30 in the afternoon, and I still have time to get up, acclimate, have breakfast, take a shower, and I don't feel rushed, and I'm fine. I don't feel groggy or grumpy or sleepy. Dude, I could go to bed at like 9 o'clock at night. If I have to still be up at 5 o'clock in the morning, I still got plenty of sleep, dude, but I never sleep anyway, so that's kind of a lie. I never sleep. But I would get a regular 8 hours of sleep. I'm still like, fuck the world. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Fuck you. No, you're getting a ticket. You're getting a ticket. I fucking hate all of you. No, but if it's the afternoon shift, no, I'm good. I can wake up a couple hours before I have to be to work and be fine. I just, for some reason, those are ungodly hours that I just don't want to get up at. No, it just depends on the shift. Right now, I'm a shower in the morning when I get up kind of guy, but again, it's because of the shift I'm on. So
right. I feel that. Some good ones. Walk everywhere on your hands, or always sleep standing up.
Walking everywhere on my hands seems like that would get old and confusing real fast. I'd say sleep standing up. That way, I'm always ready. If I get attacked by ninjas, I can wake up and be like, I'm ready, guys. If I sleep laying down, I have to get up out of bed. It's a disadvantage. No, sleep standing up. I want to be a horse. I want to sleep standing
Tactical, up. Baby. Tactical.
Yeah, it's fucking tactical.
Yes, let's go.
Plus handstands not going to get me laid. Like, that's not
true. True. I mean, hey, if anybody's pulled it off, props to you, man. Props to you. Either or, have the hiccups forever, or always have to sneeze but never be able to.
Ooh, god damn.
And I had time last night.
Fuck. Can I function while always having to sneeze, or am I always like?
It's up to you. If you're able to. I know me, when I got that sneeze coming, dude, nothing's happening until I get that shit out.
Or it's always having to yawn forever?
Hiccups forever.
Hiccups. Always having the hiccups. Fuck, dude, I'd have to say having to sneeze then, because hiccups are just fucking annoying, dude. They're just annoying. Yeah. Right. So having to sneeze, I'd say yeah, because I can function through having to sneeze for a couple seconds at a time, I think. Dude, you're fucked either way, bro. You're fucked either way. But having to sneeze all the time, because you're always having that sense of almost release. You're like,
yeah.
You're almost about to sneeze, but it never happens, dude. You'd be like a junkie. You'd be chasing that dragon, dude. Don't ask me how I know that.
Bro, we're from the Central Valley. Everybody knows how we know that.
Hey, surprisingly,
last
Never tried meth. So if you're in the Central Valley and you've managed to never try meth, you're winning. That's a win right there.
Oh,
find you a woman that's never done meth,
Facts.
And you're fucking set.
Facts. You heard it from the source, baby. Last one, maybe the most difficult one. Fight a small gorilla or a giant rabid raccoon.
Oh, I think I'd rather fight a small gorilla, because a small gorilla I can kick away. Raccoons are fucking mean just when they're little, bro. Like, they'll fuck a person up. So a giant, like a bear-sized raccoon, or even a gorilla-sized raccoon, you're having a bad fucking day. Like, all your plans canceled. At least with a small gorilla, I can yeet that motherfucker. Now, granted, he might come fucking running back, but then I just kick him or put him in a box or put him in a room. Fucking raccoon, dude, those things are cats with paws, bro. They're smart and they're dexterable and they're pliable. They're problem solvers. So a large raccoon, I'd have problems with. I'd rather take the small gorilla. I don't care if it's a silverback. I don't care if he can lift a car. I can kick that motherfucker away and get a running start. A giant raccoon, they're fast, they're mean, he can tear you apart at that point. I'm good. I'll take the little gorilla. I'll take a small fucking pissed off gorilla every day over a raccoon that can pick me up. No, we're done.
One, I'd have to say the same. That one, if anybody... For real, bro. For real. If you have not seen a fucking rabid raccoon, I totally understand why you wouldn't choose the gorilla, but I'm going gorilla myself. For sure.
Yeah. You can eat that motherfucker.
And I mean, hey,
you've got a chance. Exactly. You've got a chance. The raccoon, you don't have a chance. You're fucked, bro. That's nightmare fuel. You can run. It's going to be faster than you. You can climb a tree. It can climb a tree. Where are you going to go with it? It can't. Now it's big enough to open doors and open windows.
Go in the room, close the door. He's fucking coming in behind you.
He's coming in through that fucking door. Or he's got paws. He can turn a doorknob like the fucking raptors in Jurassic Park. It'll open a door, bro. You're not safe, dude. Get a Glock. Your best chance is to put holes in it and pray. Done.
Boom. There it is. Folks, oh, this has been such a pleasure, brother. It's so good to finally get to sit down and talk to you and everything. You guys make sure to go get the book on Amazon, Through the Cage Door, My Journey from Paralysis to the UFC. Follow the homie Cole on Instagram, ColeTrain559, ColeTrain 559. Cole, my brother, thank you so much for taking the time out to do this, dude.
Thanks for asking me to be on, dude.
It's truly a pleasure. Like I said, man, people get sick of me saying thank you all the time, and I could not give less of a shit because you guys make it possible for me to just do the shit that I love every week, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you for everything that you do, law enforcement, in the MMA community, in the community at large in general. You're good. You're good. It's all good. It happens. But yes, Cole, my man, thank you so much for joining us in the Fight Pit. Like I said before, the Fight Pit door is always open. I look forward to having you back in too. Stay safe out there. Keep doing the damn thing. Keep being a credit to the community. It's an honor to be from the same area as you. And it's an honor to have been able to watch your career and everything that you've gone through. And thank you for sharing the stories with us. And I'm sure, we'll be shooting the shit about this fucking McGregor comeback whenever it actually fucking happens.
So curious about what the fuck's going on with that one, dude. So hey.
We'll put a pin in that one. We'll circle back and we'll cover that on the next one, dude. But
good,
thank you so much, brother. You have a great rest of your day off. Enjoy.